Hello, my fellow students of magic. I apologize for having there been a long delay between videos and then coming to this subject, and I wish to sincerely apologize for this. I do plan on making another video, and it will come eventually. It's just, at this moment, I have been taking some time to deal with adjustments because of work, and then also the fact that I have been working on trying to manage between two channels and also trying to get myself to find subjects to talk about this channel, which admittedly has been difficult. And now I also have the issue of having just recently heard about the passing of my grandfather from my mother's side. Now, I wish to admit to start off that he had dementia in my time of knowing him, and I didn't really know a lot about him before he had dementia, and neither did my sister. And a lot of the time we interacted, it was not necessarily easy because he would mostly be quiet, and when we did speak, it wasn't necessarily easy to communicate. But I did take care of him for a good long while, so it was rather personal for me to hear about it now. And even further, for a long time, me and my mother actually expected his time to pass quite a while ago, really. So he definitely held out for quite a long time, really. And now it's finally happened, really. So it really did strike me, and I kind of had to leave work early because I needed to process the everything I had been feeling about it. So, what I kind of wanted to talk about in this video was sort of to explain what it was I wanted to do to commemorate his memory. Now, as I have mentioned before, both as a witch and somebody who isn't a witch, death is something that is a process. It is something we acknowledge, that's something everyone deals with, and whether you are religious, witch, or not, or anything of the circumstance, we have a way of trying to emotionally process the passing of someone or the losing of a life, or the losing of someone in connections. We have a way of trying to emotionally deal with these kinds of challenges, and when it comes to the spiritual sense, we believe that death is not necessarily an end, it's just a new beginning. It is a way that another life is processed both physically and spiritually, that we come from this world and we return to it in one way or another, and that the spirit has a way of being able to move from this realm to another. And we grieve in the losing of someone, but we also celebrate that that person is going to experience something new. For me personally, I don't necessarily decide or believe that there is one set afterlife that someone goes to. That I do not believe that people are set in a choice between heaven or hell. I do not necessarily believe that there is the nothing. But at the same time, I'm not entirely certain. I don't even necessarily believe that the afterlives of my ancestors or of my religion are the only afterlife. I believe that there are a multitude of afterlives based on the faith and the culture that people have been raised through, or ones that people feel most attuned with in some way or another. They could end up in the Chemian Egyptian underworld of Duat. They could end up in the Hellenistic realm of Hades. They could end up in Valhalla, or they could end up in Helheim. They could end up in a numerous amount of afterlives. They could end up in the other world for the Irish Celtic religion. They could end up in a numerous amount of afterlives. Where they go is uncertain, however, and if there is a certainty, I don't know of it. Some people obviously have their ways of being able to be certain, but even with the underworlds and my experiences for different realms in the spiritual state of things, I'm not necessarily certain where people go. If there is a orderly way people go to certain realms, I am uncertain of it. But I process it the way that I do, and the way I process it is that I hope that the afterlife people are striving for, that is the place that they go to. Because it would be rude or horrible of me to desire that people go to a place that I would want them to go. Just as I would find it disrespectful for somebody to want me to go to either heaven or hell because I belong in neither of those places, I would not want to have people go to a place they do not expect. I would not want people to go to the Otherworld or Duat or Hades or Valhalla or Helheim or whatever place it is I would prefer going to. Whatever realm it is they choose or desire to go to, I would hope that that is the place that they go to based on the religion that they particularly follow. Or perhaps maybe it may lead to a rebirth cycle. But the certainty I have for it, I can't really tell. I don't really know what the situation might be in that. The only thing I know is that my grandfather on my mother's side has passed, and now I have to process the state of things, and I have to process the fact that he has left behind some memories, and I would kind of like to talk about those memories. The way I wish to remember him is that he was a man that was nice. He may have been quiet. We may not have been able to talk that much because of the current state that he was in. And while it was difficult to be able to talk with him, I at least want to remember him for for the way he was. That he was kind. That he was somebody that, even in the state of dementia, that he did try to communicate, that he did try to form a relationship, even if it wasn't necessarily something we could fully process. There were plenty of times that, of course, that he wasn't able to remember things. I would have to remind him of what has been passing, and it really is unfortunate that I wasn't able to know him before he had dementia. And I suppose I never will. But I at least was glad to know him, and that I was able to take care of him for a time. I admit I probably could have done better. I probably could have communicated with him better. I probably could have paid more attention to him, but like I said, it was difficult for me, and at the time I didn't really know how to process the whole thing because I never really knew how to handle somebody with dementia or anything like that. But I was still happy to know him at least, and to be able to help him in whatever way I can. I just wish I could have done better. And with that, I do wish to be able to eventually hold a funeral blot, to which I will explain that a blot is basically a Norseman celebration, a way which could either be a small one or it could be a grand one, and depending on the subject, it would vary on what kind of blot it would be. For this case, it would be a celebration for the man that he was in life. And from what I know of him, he was a brave and courageous man, especially in his service to the military. He served as an artilleryman in the Korean War, and he had to deal with seeing people that he cared about falling before his eyes. And most certainly, due to the fact that it took him years longer than we expected for him to pass, he truly is he was a very strong, and he had a man of great constitution. And I think it is more than fair enough to say that he was brave and strong, and the way that he passed, I completely forgot to mention how it was that he passed. He actually passed a couple of days ago, and it was due to a morphine overdose, we believe. But the reason why I only am processing this now is because I only knew about it a few hours ago when my mother called me. And again, it hit me personally because of the fact that I took care of him. I did my best again. I made sure that whenever it was time for his meals, I brought them on time. I tried to make sure that he was entertained. I tried to make sure that I could communicate with him, be there for him as much as I could. And it was all very personal for me. And it's all going to be difficult for me, but like I said, life will continue, and the only thing I can hope for is that should there be an afterlife that he is continuing onward for, perhaps maybe he will be reborn into this world, perhaps he will be reborn into another world. I can't necessarily say for certain. Even with my spiritual experiences, there are still so many mysteries in the world and in the world beyond. It's difficult, to say the least. But in the end, it is what makes being a witch it's what makes a witch worthwhile. Is the fact that as a witch, we attempt and we strive to understand not just this world, but this world thereafter, and what worlds and realms there are that may exist beyond this world, what ways we can connect with them, what ways we can find an explanation and an understanding to the things and the ways things work in this world, and how they can connect to the world beyond, what sort of ways they fit together, and that is why I feel being a witch is worthwhile. The way that I can understand the different cultures that have existed throughout time and how they were able to communicate with the world beyond, how they were able to shape it, and how they used it to explain the way that this world had worked, and how they were able to find comfort, how they were able to find beings that made them feel safe, and beings they could find relationships with, and ways that they could find security in this world, and to find a way to form and shape the world beyond. And perhaps maybe there's even more to that. And again, it's discovering these things, and even the things that haven't been discovered, and seeking them is to me what makes being a witch worthwhile. And for those that are also witches, I feel it is possibly the same thing for the rest of you. And for those that aren't witches, but are interested in it, I hope that you are able to understand what it is that we do. And that, of course, you probably have ways that you try to understand this world as well. And for that, I feel it is something that I would highly encourage you seeking. And as a witch, I want you to fully understand that the thing to understand about being a witch is that there is no one way of doing things. I say this a lot, and I think it is still something that is worth saying because people tend to forget that. It is more important that we find our own way of understanding things, that we find our own path in dealing with things, we find our own way, our best way, to discover ourselves, the meaning of the world, the explanation for why things are the way they are, to find whatever answers we are trying to seek. So, with that, I wish to make this final moment to say that I hope my grandfather found the answers that he had been seeking throughout his life, and that he will be able to find peace wherever he goes, and that it is the life that he desired. And so I wish to make a prayer to all of the death gods that I honor. I wish to make a prayer to Lord Anubis. I wish to make a prayer to Queen Hel of Helheim, the goddess of death in the Norse pantheon. I wish to make a prayer to Sobek, that the river Nile will carry him to where it is that he is destined for, not to the realm of Dua, but wherever it is that he will go. That Anubis, that his heart be light, and that it be a place deserving of his strong and his caring character. And I wish to make a prayer to all of the death gods, to all those who are responsible to leading the souls to the life that they are destined for, and to the spirit of death, whoever they are, whoever they truly are, that he will find peace. And for this I ask Sumota be, and blessings be. And before I make this too emotional, and with that being said, I wish to have you all a blessed day, and that you all will be able to find the answers that you seek, even if it is not from me, that it is something that is found to be worthwhile, something that helps you discover the truth and the reality of things one way or another, and that you will be able to come to understand even if they aren't necessarily the answers that you want to hear. Because nothing is more important than the truth and the reality. That is the thing that we must remember as witches, and as non-witches. Because no matter what, the truth is always the most important thing, and that is what we must always strive for. So with that, I have finished with everything that I need to say, and that I hope you all have a blessed day. And with that, Somota be and blessings be to all of my fellow students of magic, and fare thee well.